All right, we avoided a catastrophe. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football, and you've just crossed over into the Trend Zone. Casey here with Dave. We are the football dudes. Dave, are you ready, bro?
Oh, yeah. You got that right, my friend.
Chi-Town, baby. That is right. All right, that is the signpost up ahead. Your next stop is the Trend Zone. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Hey, Dave, it is a blistery 72 up here in the Sherm. What's happening on the west side?
It is an absolutely perfect 61 degrees, sunny, breezy. Can't complain at all. It's a wonderful day.
Brilliant, dude. That's why we love LA so much. It is the weather. And in today's episode, we will talk about it's a small world after all. We've got some super news. Thanks for asking. 3 is a magic number. I'll tell you why in just a little bit. Some Survivor, our fantasy go back starts of the week, and all of the awesome games from the upcoming week. But Dave, I don't happen to have any pockets, and I know you do because we can't take a trip into the Trend Zone without a tasty nug for the people. What you got?
This is a weird one, Casey. Everybody knows how great Tom Brady was. Terrific Tom. But Drake May has already tied a franchise record held by Tom Brady. And it is pretty amazing there. The quarterback May has equaled Tom Brady's 2007 season, which is the record for the most games in team history with at least 200 passing yards, 135 plus quarterback rating, and 2 passing touchdowns. So basically a nice, complete, sweet passing day, very efficient, and 200 plus yards, 135 plus passer rating, and at least 2 touchdowns. Drake May is coming off looking real good these days.
Yeah, as soon as he has those 6 Super Bowls that Brady got with the Pats, he's right there, baby.
That connect right now.
Speaking of the Trend Zone, it is super and it is now available for subscription. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever the hell you get your podcast. All right, Dave, let's get into it. Couple injuries, couple signal callers going to miss week 8.
Yeah, Jayden Daniels, hamstring injury suffered last week against your boys, Casey. He is going to have to be out, and it will be Marcus Mariota taking over. Also, Bryce Young for the Panthers, not able to finish the game last week, and he's expected to miss the game next week against the Bills with a high ankle sprain. So maybe chalk him up for more than 1 week. We'll see how bad this is. It'll be Andy Dalton in his stead.
Yeah, Bryce Young hurt that ankle against the Jets. And Dave, I don't know if you checked the text thread that we sent to our fantasy league, but I posted that kid that's the Jet fan that was totally despondent after the Jet game. Dude, his soul is so broken. I'm like, you were too young to feel that much pain, my friend.
Yeah.
Oh, so brutal, dude.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. And now, Dave, the only bright spot for the Dolphins
Ugh.
is also in the tuna net.
Yeah, that's right. Tight end Darren Waller, who was looking pretty good in his resurgent comeback there. He's put on IR, so he'll miss at least 4 weeks there. So tough loss there.
Yeah, and then we have a couple season enders as well for some other teams.
Yeah, the Saints center Eric McCoy and running back Keandre Miller are both out for the season. Chiefs second-round rookie defensive tackle Omar Norman Lott, he tore his ACL. That's it for him for the year. So that's a big-time bummer for those guys.
And then we got a brutal one. It might not be the whole season. It might be, but dude, bad news in Buckland.
Yeah, Mike Evans, broken collarbone, the 1,000-yard season record, which I believe he has 10 in a row of or
I think
something
it's
like that.
11. He
Is
shares
it?
with Jerry
Golly.
Rice.
Yeah, that one's in significant jeopardy as he's already missed 3 games with the hammy. Comes back for this one, loses his first one back, and takes the broken collarbone. So big time bummer. They're also out. Godwin, he's still dealing with the fibula injury, so he's missed 2 games. No word really on whether he'll be back. Also waiting for the first appearance on the season for Jalen McMillan. He's been on IR with a neck injury the whole year. So down a lot, but luckily they've got arguably the rookie of the year in Emeka Ibuka, and that guy is money. So yes, bad news at the receiver position there, but big picture, hopefully they get some of those guys back, and Emeka looks great.
All right, Dave. I went with it's a small world, but we could have been the happiest place on earth. Maybe it's both.
Yeah, NFL owners approve the Disney ESPN media deal. That's going to be the deal that gives ESPN basically control of certain assets, namely the NFL Network and sort of NFL films and some of that kind of stuff, in exchange for the NFL taking a 10% equity stake in ESPN. These guys are going to be glued together here moving forward. Certainly going to play a role in the future TV contracts that'll be negotiated in not too distant future.
ESPN's getting into the sports betting game the last couple years.
Yeah.
Now they're getting a little piece of the NFL. Man, that seems a little bit shady to
Yeah.
me, but what do I
Right.
know?
And there's also the hitch that it has to be approved through by the government there. And we know there are certain people that may not be huge fans of this deal or of the NFL and may be an obstacle to this deal going through officially from
Fake
the Fed.
news, Dave.
You
All
got it.
right. If you're heading up to the Bay Area for the Super Bowl, your week just got a little bit better, bro.
Yeah, NFL has announced the Pro Bowl games will move to the Super Bowl host city. Of course, the centerpiece of this is the dodgeball game. No, not the dodgeball game, Casey.
It
It
is
is
pretty good, though.
not that. It is the flag football game. So looking forward to that one. I know you are a big time fan of that, and obviously the league is putting a lot of a lot of money and advertisement behind the concept of flag football in a general sense. So this is going to be probably pretty well advertised.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that we get more Manning action. We got Peyton and Eli. Maybe in a year or two, little Arch will join the fray as well.
Not bad.
All right, dude. Well, speaking of Bay Area, speaking of NFL, one of the all-time greats, John Madden, his legacy lives on, baby.
Yeah, EA and the NFL extend the exclusive Madden video game deal. So EA will be the only and continue to be the only provider of NFL video games. So some people are less thrilled about that than others, as there is no competition to sort of sharpen up the quality of the game. And there are those who suggest that the college version of the game is a little funner to play or whatever. I'm not a big gamer in this particular field, Casey. Any opinion of your own?
Yeah, the new NCAA is totally sweet and out there in the social media world. I believe the Hep Cats or the Kitties call the Madden franchise booty cheeks now. So
Okay.
how far they have fallen. All right, Dave.
Booty
When
cheeks.
we talked about global domination for the NFL, we meant global domination.
Yeah, this is the new one here, Casey. Obviously, the Black Friday game was a big hit, and it's back again this year. That's not the news, though. It is the Bears and the Eagles Black Friday game will stream worldwide without a Prime subscription. So it'll be on Amazon Prime, but you'll be able to just go ahead and get that for free. So Amazon's going to obviously package this whole thing up with a lot of their services and whatnot and see if they can attract new customers. But at least just for this particular deal, you get to watch the game, even if you're not a Prime subscriber.
Yeah, the NFL throwing out lines, seeing what they can get the best return on all these
Yeah.
different streaming services. And then you're going to see the effects of that a little bit later. We talked about global domination, but Nave, now it's time for total fantasy domination. Give me a quarterback.
Regrettably, it is Bo Nix of the Broncos and the Disky Donkos here in our league.
The
279
Disky Donkos.
Disco Donkeys.
I called you Nave, so who cares?
Oh boy! All right, I'm slipping up here. 279 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 48 rush yards, 2 rushing TDs, and 2 2-point conversions for Bo Nix. Wow, that's a heck of a fourth quarter.
Got a little flustered talking about your favorite quarterback there, Dave. What about Jahmyr Gibbs? Was it that Barry Sanders was in the house? Was it those sweet alternate unis? Those are hands down the best in the NFL. Look good, feel good, play good. For the disco donkeys or whatever the hell you called them, Jahmyr Gibbs, 136 rush yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and 82 receiving yards in that huge win over the Bucs.
How about receiver DeVonta Smith of the Bolt Action and Philadelphia Eagles, 183 receiving yards and a touchdown.
And how about Patrick Henry Sarsipius Freiermuth for those Pittsburgh Steelers? He had 111 receiving yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. All right, Dave.
Wait, real quick. He's still a free agent, by the way.
Free agent
in our league. I was when I was picking up a Rondé Gatson of the Chargers last night. I was thinking, hey, wow, how about Patrick Freiermuth? He's looking pretty good.
I like that, but I don't like the timeshare with Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, true.
I was looking at that too. So because I did have Waller and I did make a move. But Dave, speaking of making moves, fantasy go back starts of the week. If you could go back in time and change your lineup, would you have, could you have, and would it have gotten you the win?
No, only if I could have tackled Jonathan Taylor a couple of times. I still could have won because I had a 155.9 score. So my team absolutely crushed it. But that included Jonathan Taylor running for 3 touchdowns on my Chargers. But wow. Yeah. Nope. Couldn't have done anything to improve that score.
So at the game, every time he ran for a touchdown, were you like, well, at least it's my fantasy team, or were you just wallowing in sorrow?
Well, they could have gotten anything they wanted, it seemed, against our Chargers defense. So since they were scoring at will, I figure might as well go for a fantasy game. And once the Chargers got behind by 3 touchdowns, that meant Herbert and Keenan Allen were going to work, and that's more points for my fantasy team.
All right. Every gray cloud, every thunder cloud has a silver lining. There's a lightning bolt. There you go. Okay.
There we go.
Well, it wasn't such a happy outlook for me because between my running backs, Kareem Hunt and Chuba Hubbard, I got 8.3 points. And I was going up against the Los Burros Locos, who had the Cleveland Browns defense. Thanks a lot, Tua, you piece of crap. That Browns defense got 34 points. My Darren Waller got 0 points, and I lost by 15 points. But, Dave, last week I had Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, and James Cook all on the bye. One bright spot for the Foul Boys. I did get Rashee Rice back. So, moving forward, I just got to go on a run. It can happen, right?
Yeah.
Anything
it's like
your
run that you're currently on, except it's the wrong direction. You got to spin it
5
around.
in a row, baby. Oh, wait, it's the wrong direction. But you know what? Anything can happen on any given Sunday. All right, Dave, let's move it on to Survivor 3 Strikes. Last week's most popular correct pick was
Kansas City destroying Las Vegas with almost 45% of the people picking them.
Last week's most popular incorrect pick was
Pittsburgh going down to Flacco and the Bengals. That was 5.5% of the people. So not a very damaging week in Survivor.
And next week's most popular picks are?
We got a handful of them. Indy over Tennessee, that's 38%. Atlanta over Miami, that's more than 20%. Cincy over the Jets, that's almost 13%. And then Tampa over New Orleans, nearly 11%. So a lot of good picks going into this week. So hopefully you pick the right one, and you've got obviously one of those teams available.
Yeah, even though the NFL has been on crazy pills this year with the Survivor picks have been pretty straightforward. It hasn't been that catastrophic unseen loss that takes out the majority of the peoples. But it is only going to be week 8 in the NFL. Let's go ahead and get to the game previews.
Cut.
What
did you say?
It's week 8.
Week 8 is slipping away. I can't believe this, man. It is slipping away.
Officially 2 months into the season. What is this crap, Dave? And it is BYE-Ageddon. They gave us 2 teams last week. This week, it's the Jags, the Raiders, the Lions, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Rams. Oh, my. Couldn't we have done a few of these last week? Come on.
Yeah, balance it out. I don't understand this. Huh?
But
deal.
We do have some hot Thursday night action, Dave. What do we got?
It's right over there down the road at SoFi Stadium, Casey. And it is the Minnesota Vikings at the LA Chargers. And the Chargers at home are favored by 2.5.
Yeah. And how do you feel? You like good news? Or do you think it's bad news that we got Carson Wentz starting this thing? You like that? You like that?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I don't think, Wentz has been okay, but McCarthy has really only had one decent quarter in his entire career, so probably would have preferred the kid, but it's not a surprise that it's Wentz here. Let's just not make him look like Tom Brady in his prime.
Yeah, or his MVP season from his first year with
That's
the
right.
Eagles. Minnesota, dude. Quarterback, receiver, they have obviously Justin Jefferson. Addison has been tremendous.
Yeah.
Haven't heard out a lot about Hawkinson. Has not really gotten the flow there. Good news for the Vikings. Aaron Jones is supposed to come off of the IR and get back there. A brutal loss to the Eagles last week. I think for the first couple series, Carson Wentz forgot that he no longer plays for the Eagles.
Right.
And just too many mistakes early to get them back in that game. That is a great defense. Blitz happy with Brian Flores. So you got to watch out because so far on this season, your guy Herbert's already taken a beating, but there might be some good news ahead for your Chargers in that situation.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, first I'll start with the Chargers defense, which was an absolute sieve last week and could not stop the run, could not stop the pass. Other than that, though, pretty bad at special teams as well. One of their worst performances in memory as Jonathan Taylor and the Colts ran over them and threw them and around them, and Daniel Jones was back there just dicing it up. The good news is the Chargers, who had a decimated offensive line, are looking to get Joe Alt back, and that would be a significant upgrade from what we were dealing with last week. Herbert had his best career day in terms of passing yardage with 420 passing yards with absolutely no protection. In fact, he's been hit 20 times more than the next highest hit quarterback, which is Ward of the Titans. So most pressured quarterback in the NFL. And he doesn't take that many sacks is because he's very good at eluding the sacks in the pocket and getting the ball out of his hands. 2 critical picks last week, though, for Herbert, along with his 3 touchdowns there. The silver lining was, and we mentioned it briefly, the rookie Arondé Gadsden at the tight end position really emerged. 164 yards, I believe he had, and a touchdown. He was absolutely phenomenal. So Chargers looking to get some reinforcements back, maybe a couple of other guys also that were injured back for this game. But yeah, this is a game where, again, the Chargers defense has got to do a gut check and figure out how not to get run over by the other team's running game. If they can't stop the run, they're not going to win this football game.
But either way, they're going to look sweet doing it. Chargers bringing back the Navy blues for the Thursday. Looking freaking sweet, Dave.
Unfortunately, and let's fix this because we lost horribly the only time we wore those gold jerseys last week. We have not yet won in those navies. I think it's 0-4 since the Chargers had kind of, came up with that Navy jersey a couple of 3 years ago or whatever it is. So got to get a W.
Do it on Thursday night, especially because I have a side bet with Hank how many losses the Vikings are going to have. All right, Dave, let's go ahead and move it to Sunday. Our first Sunday without a European flavor, which kind of helps. It is the Buffalo Bills at the Carolina Panthers, and those Bills are 7.5-point favorites.
Yeah, how about the Bills, man? Coming off the first 4 games of the season, phenomenal, looking like they are heading towards the Super Bowl, home field advantage the whole way. They're coming the last 2 weeks. Now, last week was a bye, but they lost that Sunday nighter against the Patriots, a game I went to the Dickinson concert on and missed mostly, but watched
the Bruce Dickinson?
The same one. Casey puts his pants on in the morning just like you and I do, right? But he makes gold records. I digress. Then they go back last week and get rolled by Atlanta, and I mean run over by Bijan there. This Bills team now had a couple of the week off to think about those 2 losses and how to get things right heading into this Panthers game. They just got to get back on track, man. Everything was working those first 4 weeks, and it seems like they just got derailed a little bit. This should be the game that they can get themselves going. But this Panthers team, they're a little feistier than a lot of people would think, I think.
Yeah, this kitten's got claws, baby. They put together a nice stretch of football. And a little unfortunate there. You mentioned at the top of the show there's going to be no Bryce Young, so they're going to go
Yeah.
to the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton. Good news for the Panthers. Xavier Legette has been playing pretty good football, including last week. He had 9 for 92 and a touchdown. Tat McMillan's starting to find his role in the offense, although you wonder what it's going to look like there with Dalton instead of Young. And they got Chuba back last week. Didn't do a whole lot. 14 carries, 31 yards. Rico Dowdle, 17 for 79. Together, that's okay, but they're going to need more out of the running game. But hopefully you can depend on Andy Dalton to make good decisions with the football. They're feeling pretty good about this team in Carolina. The front four is very good. So if they can play mistake-free football, they're coming into this game with more momentum than the Bills, but I expect that to come back down to earth on Sunday, but we shall see.
All right.
What we got?
We have got the Miami Dolphins at the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons at home favored by 7.5 in this game.
Oh, Dave, Miami, dude.
Oof.
It's all bad. They're coming off getting stomped by the Cleveland Browns, bro, in a game that they had to have, and nothing looked good for the Dolphins in that game. Nothing was working. Tua got picked 3 times. Achane had a decent game, but it didn't matter, dude. You mentioned at the top of the show, Darren Waller's out for at least 4 weeks. Jayden Waddle, 1 catch, 15 yards, man. Absolutely nothing is going right for these Dolphins. And if they don't get it together, which I don't think it's going to happen, maybe you see them being active at the trade line, moving some of their higher priced veterans, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And then the Falcons lose a tough game to the Niners. They go across country, and they were in that thing for most of it. But the Niners are a tough team, coming off the high of Monday night, beating the Bills, and then going across country. And it was 10-13 for most of the time. But then they just couldn't close the gap there. And eventually the Niners did put that thing away. Still a work in progress. I think 38 passes is too many for Michael Penix, and I think 14 carries for Bijan is not enough. Hopefully they can get that right. I'm assuming they're going to have plenty enough to beat these Dolphins on Sunday.
Yeah, and the Dolphins game, you mentioned they got clobbered by the Browns. Quinshon Judkins runs for 3 touchdowns on them in that game. He's had a great rookie campaign, but now let's think about, hey, Bijan Robinson against that defense that really has been terrible at stopping the run. That's a formula that fits right into what Atlanta wants to do. So look for that one to be a run fest for Bijan and Algier.
All right, up next, it's the Chicago Bears at the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens at 1-5 are 6.5-point favorites in this one.
Yeah, and these are teams, I guess, on 2 different trajectories, although it's odd that it is a 6.5-point favorite for the Baltimore Ravens, having lost, I believe, 4 games in a row and playing a Bears team that has won 4 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Bears coming off a big win against the Saints, where Allen had his revenge against his old team. The defense for the Bears playing pretty good there. And you look at this Ravens team, they're coming off the bye. They didn't have Lamar Jackson. He got injured, obviously, with the hammy in the Chiefs game where they got dismantled. And he hasn't been there for a couple of weeks, but it looks like he's practicing in limited capacity, which would lead you to believe with that bad hammy that he would be good to go in this game. And I think the odds makers probably agree with that idea, giving them the 6.5-point favorite there. But also, there's sort of is a regression to the mean, like one team winning 4 in a row, one team losing 4 in a row. It seems like they're both kind of due. Maybe the Ravens just get this win. And finally, there's a stretch in front of them with some winnable games. So don't count this Ravens team out just yet. It is possible to be 1-5 and to still make the playoffs.
Yeah, dude. And the betting public still likes them to win that AFC North. A lot of work to get that done. But if they get healthy, plenty of talent there.
Plenty. All right. Up next, it is the New York Jets at the Cincinnati Bengals, and Bengals at home favored by 3.5. This is I guess a game of 2 teams who are not having the season that they had hoped for.
Yeah, with these Jets, it looks like they're finally going to pull the plug on the Justin Fields experiment. It's just not going well there. Tyrod Taylor at least gives them better quarterback play. Lots of pieces for these Jets. I'm not sure if the receiver is going to be back or not, but Breece Hall's been a bright spot for these guys, but they really couldn't do much against Carolina last week. And as I talked about, despondent Jet fan earlier in the show, man, I think there's a lot of that going around. And then you flip it over to these Bengals, man. The Browns, much to the chagrin of Mike Tomlin, throw the Bengals a life preserver, but not a life preserver, Dave, a boat full of clean water and snacks too. These guys were left for dead, and you send Joe Flacco to them. And I kind of poo-pooed the Garrett Wilson. I'm sorry, Garrett, I owe you better than I couldn't think of his name earlier, but back to the Bengals. Kind of poo-pooed this trade, making light of it because Flacco struggled with the Browns. This dude is a former Super Bowl MVP, and you saw that last Thursday night when he absolutely smoked the Pittsburgh Steelers, dude. 342 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
16 grabs by Ja'Marr Chase, 161 yards, throw another almost 100 for T. Higgins. Both of those guys had touchdowns, and you get good quarterback play from the Bengals, and all of a sudden they rush for over 100 yards. Chris Brown there, or 108, 9.8 per carry, dude. So I don't know what the hell the Browns were thinking. They continued to be one of the crappiest run franchises there. You not only make another team better, you make a team better in your division. And now Cincy's all of a sudden got life.
They sure do.
Chase Brown, Dave. I'm all over the place with my names today. I'm a little bit frazzled because I got stuff on my mind, but okay, I got this one. Okay, here we go. All right, Dave, it is the San Francisco 49ers at the Houston Oilers. I did it again, Dave. It's the Houston Texans, and the Texans are 1.5 favorites.
Yeah. Whew. Oh, man. How about these Niners? We'll get started with those guys. Matt Jones continues to be the quarterback there. I don't see any word that that's going to change. And McCaffrey coming off an absolutely monstrous performance, 129 rush yards for McCaffrey, 72 receiving yards for McCaffrey. So two rushing TDs. They're just putting together with all the injuries that they have, despite all the injuries they have, obviously the quarterback position, the tight end coming back last week in Kittle there. All the receivers they are down, and yet they're 5-2 and feeling pretty damn good about themselves. Then you go to the other side of this matchup with the Houston Texans, dude. Wow. I mean, what can you say about this Texans defense last week, creating multiple turnovers? I believe they got 4 turnovers in that game, and they were still blowed out because their offense is totally ineffective at this point in time. They're like a rudderless ship. I mean, they've gotten rid of their coach, and now it is time for, Mike McCoy to see what he can do to salvage the rookies campaign for Ward there. But this team, it's just it's not Mike McCoy and Ward. My mistake. It's CJ Stroud, who has, after that rookie campaign,
playing like Cam Ward right now.
I mean, he had an amazing rookie season. It just seems like he's tailed off so significantly at this point in time. But anyways, we'll see if this Texans team can rally, because at 2-4, they need to now, or it's going to slip away.
It's almost like a quarterback comes into the league and then the teams get some film on them and know how to play them a little bit better. But I think most quarterbacks would have gotten the crap kicked out of them on Monday night, the way the Seattle defense was playing. Oh my God.
No doubt. Wow. All right. Up next is the Cleveland Browns at the New England Patriots. And the Patriots are at home favored by 7.
Yeah, and you mentioned Judkins last week with the 3 touchdowns, and that defense for the Browns is playing very, very good football. Dylan Gabriel's okay, only had to pass 18 times, and that is a formula for success. But when Tua's giving you all those interceptions, you don't have to do much on offense. Speaking of doing much on offense, Drake May is playing outstanding quarterback. You mentioned it at the top of the show.
Yeah.
On Sunday, he was 21-23 for 222 and 2 touchdowns against those Titans. And Dave, they always say, oh, It's not personal. It's business. Last week it was personal. Mike Vrabel wanted to go in there and kick the shit out of the Titans. Mission accomplished. The Patriots 31-13 over those Titans, and they right now are sitting in first place in the AFC East. Dude, how sweet it is.
No doubt about it, dude. It is outstanding.
All right, Dave, this is kind of weird. We saw this game 2 weeks ago. It was a huge upset on Thursday night. They got scatterbooed. They got darted. It was the New York Giants at the Philadelphia Eagles in the rematch. This one is in Philly, and the Eagles are 7-point favorites in this one.
Whew, let's start with these Giants, man. Oh, ever since they put Dart into the lineup, they have been a lot more fun to watch, no doubt about it. But don't tell.
My favorite part was the last 5 minutes of Sunday.
I was gonna say, don't tell Russell Wilson I said I was a big Dart fan. But yeah, I was a lot bigger fan until like the fourth quarter of last week. Certainly he played some good football for them and has given them some excitement on the offensive side. Him and Scatterboo give them something to be, looking forward to about. But at 2-5, I don't know how much it's going to last this year. But they're a feisty team and fun to watch, and they're going to be in trouble for anybody. Now this Philadelphia team is coming off a real nice performance. We were all asking at 4-2 before they got last week's win, hey, what's wrong with this Philadelphia offense, right? Well, it's always great when you're 4-2 and everybody wonders what's wrong with you, right? But they got it right last week. 19 of 23 for Hurts, 326 and 3 passing touchdowns. They didn't require Barkley to do that much on the ground because DeVonta Smith with 183 receiving yards and a touchdown, and A.J. Brown 121 receiving yards on just 4 grabs and 2 touchdowns for A.J. Brown. I guess A.J. Brown is gruntled at this point after being a little bit disappointed at his lack of targets and stuff. This game, as you mentioned, this is divisional stuff, so you never do know. But the Philadelphia Eagles got it on track last week, and let's see if they can keep it going.
He might have been disgruntled about those late fees on his library books, Dave. I don't know.
It is possible. All right, moving into the later games here, Casey. Let's get it going here with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New Orleans Saints. This is what looks to be a lopsided matchup as the Buccaneers on the road are favored by 6.5.
Yeah, but short week, the Bucs went into Detroit and got manhandled by a really good Detroit team, 24-9. They had a large part of the game plan dialed in for Mike Evans. He goes down early with the injury, already without Bucky Irving. You mentioned McMillan's not in there yet, so they kind of had to pivot there. Didn't get a lot out of the run game with Rachaad White, and that Lions defense was ferocious, man. They sacked Baker Mayfield 4 times, and without that running game, Bake had to throw 50 times, and the last thing you want is that Lions pass rush coming after you like that. So knowing that Evans is going to be out, they can kind of cater this game plan to get Ibuka going a little bit more. And we finally saw Cade Otton get in the mix too, but they're really missing Bucky Irving out of the rest of those guys more than anything. So hopefully they can get some of these pieces back into the mix there. And then the Saints, dude, they go down to the Bears 14-26. They're 1-6 on the year. You mentioned they lose Kendre Miller for the year. I know he just got the big contract last season, but maybe they think about moving Kamara in the next couple of weeks, try to get some draft picks to get this team in order. But
and get the cap in order.
And that's a big problem for these guys. Spencer Rattler, 3 picks last week, 4 sacks. But once again, dude, Kamara with 28 rushing yards, Miller with 7. Dude, you're putting too much on the quarterback's shoulders when they can't get anything out of the run game. This is a must win for the Bucs to kind of stay ahead of the Falcons and stay on top of the NFC South. And the Saints, man, the crowd will be lively. I'll give them that.
Yeah, and the Saints, I did hear about Kamara that he said he would retire if they were to pull the trigger. So he wants to stay there despite the fact that they're 1-6. And maybe on the Bucs side, they can get Bucky Irvin I don't know if he's coming back, but certainly would be nice to get that dude back into the
Yeah,
mix
I
there.
think he's going to miss this weekend. You
Yeah,
sure
me too.
Kamara would do that if they were going to trade him to the Chiefs? I don't know. Retire
I
or
sure
go
hope
for
he's retiring if that
someone.
happens.
All right, Dave. Up next, it is the Tennessee Titans at the Indianapolis Colts, and the Colts are 14-point favorites in this one, and
Whew.
they looked like it last week. Oh my God.
Yeah, this is the highest scoring offense in the league. They average, I believe, somewhere around 30 or more points a game. They got 38 last week on the Chargers. Everything worked. Steichen is calling a masterful game. Their offensive line is blocking their butts off. The weapons that they have, obviously starting with the leading rusher in the league right now, Jonathan Taylor. He put up 3 touchdowns and 140 yards or so combined from scrimmage there. It was everybody, and Alec Pierce, the rookie Tyler Warren, the tight end, was awesome. Michael Pittman. I mean, this is a team offensively clicking on all cylinders, and they are going to put up a ton of points in all likelihood this weekend against this Titans squad. Again, now's my chance to say this Titans squad that is sort of like a rudderless ship that's already fired their coach. So last week they're coming off of a blowout loss to the Patriots. It's not looking good for the Titans, but it is the NFL, so they've got a any given Sunday theory going here.
Yeah, and they said nobody besides Ward and Jeffrey Simmons are untouchable. I don't think that I believe that. If they're going to be this poor, you could dish Simmons for some draft picks, build around Cam Ward. Treylon Burks did not work. They need some talent there. So
Yeah.
that guy would look good with the star on his helmet, Dave.
I tell you, it would be a smart move to just go ahead and let's call it. It's a rebuild. They gotta be the first one to put up the sign for sale.
Yep.
On some of these players. All right, up next it is your Dallas Cowboys, Casey, and they are heading to Denver to play the Broncos. Broncos are at home in this one, favored by 3.
And speaking of 3, Dak Prescott last week, 3 touchdowns. I think that's 4 weeks in a row with at least 3 passing touchdowns and no interceptions, playing elite football. And part of the reason for that is number 3, George Pickens, had 4 for 82 last week. But it's not only the receptions, it's the defensive pass interference penalties he keeps drawing. But it wasn't number 3 last week. It was 88. CeeDee Lamb returned to the mix. He had 5 for 110 and a big touchdown there. So this offense is really starting to fire, getting some help back up front. Booker played last week. They opened the practice window for BB, the center, so they're getting healthy up front. Also might be getting some help on defense. DeMarvion Overshown, his 21-day window opened as well. So maybe reinforcements are coming there. And we're starting to see Jadeveon Clowney get a little more into this defense coming off the couch. Had a big impact on the defense last week. So if they can just improve like they did, get a few stops, and then draw Bland with the pick 6 to kind of help that defense just a little bit, then the Cowboys can get back in this thing, dude. And as bad as it's been, as terrible as we've seen this defense, they are sitting there 3-3 in second place in the NFC East with one of the most prolific offenses in the NFL. And Dave, at the top of the show, I said 3 was a magic number. Dave, can you remember a running back for these Dallas Cowboys back in the day that went by the number 33 that had the initials T and D?
Tony Dorsett?
That's right. You know who wears that number now? Javonte Williams, former Bronco. They both wore 33. Dave, how long has it been since the Cowboys have beaten the Broncos? 33 years, my friend. What is the Cowboys record? 3-1. Dave, all these worlds are colliding on Sunday, and my Dallas Cowboys are going to go into Denver with the help of your hate and my hate, combining forces to put that hate on the stinky, bald Sasquatch that goes by the name of Ken, and we will dominate those donkeys on Sunday.
Yeah, this is the consolation for Homer Simpson when he was trying to purchase the Cowboys was, of course, the Broncos, Casey. Broncos coming off an absolutely ridiculously historic finish against the Giants that had to be mind blowing for all
Everybody.
involved. Yeah, everybody that watched the game as they were down and they scored 33 points, all 33 of their points in the fourth quarter, many of them in like the final eighth of the game there, where it would have seemed that if the Giants would have just handed the ball off and punted on every possession, there was absolutely no way that
Uh-uh.
the Broncos should have won this football game. That's two in a row that the Broncos have won, really pulling a rabbit out of their hat. And then the week before that, they lost to the Colts in a game that conceivably they would have won, except they committed a leverage penalty that gave the Colts an extra try at the long field goal from 15 yards closer. It's hard for me to judge this Broncos team right now, but I know that they have a very, very good defense, and that defense is facing this Cowboys offense. So there's really is going to be the game right there. Can the Cowboys offense, put up the kind of points they've been doing and against this Broncos defense? And I guess you look at the other side of the equation. The Bo Nix has been hard to sack. He manipulates the pocket well. He runs the ball very well. Last week he had 2 rushing touchdowns in that phenomenal comeback for them, as well as 2 passing touchdowns. They've got some young receivers. Obviously, Sutton leads them there, but Marvin Mims Jr., the tight end Engram, Franklin, Pat Bryant. I mean, there's dudes there that are all contributing, and J.K. Dobbins, former Charger there, running the ball pretty well. So, this is going to be a real good game, a real highlight for this afternoon slate, obviously.
Yeah, dude. I think the most mind-blowing thing about that Broncos-Giants game, besides Dayball completely blowing it, I put it on him more than the Jackson
Me
Dart
too.
interception because you should be handing the ball off. But the
Right.
Broncos had 8 points with 5 minutes left to go in that game.
So
That's
got 25
crazy.
points in 5 minutes.
Unbelievable. Yeah, Giants. Good job. All right,
Boggles the
Dave.
mind.
Sunday night football. It's the Green Bay Packers at the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Pack, 3-point favorites in this one in the Aaron Rodgers revenge game.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, the Packers coming off of a big win against the Cardinals, and definitely Jordan Love playing some good football in that game. But Josh Jacobs only 55 rushing yards. Essentially, they get that W there against the Cardinals. It gets them to 4-1-1. But this is a kind of a mystery Packers team. Like, they started off the season looking really, really, really strong, and it's kind of cooled off a little bit for them. So it's going to be interesting to see if they can put it together. Obviously, Rodgers' revenge factor. He is a dude that plays with a chip on his shoulder. There's no doubt about that. So we'll see if he can, just crank up his efficiency, man, and see what he can do to his old team.
Yeah, and
One more thing, Micah Parsons last week.
never heard of her.
Yeah, 3 sacks and 4 tackles for loss also. So that Packers defense, which is generally pretty ferocious and physical, really, really getting after it, and they're going to have something to say about Rodgers' revenge and how that plays out.
Yeah, coming off the mini bye, they've had a couple extra days to get ready for this thing. And you mentioned the chip on A-Rod's shoulder, man. He played well enough to win that game last Thursday night. Drives down there and hits Patrick Henry's Arcipius Freiermuth for the go-ahead touchdown. But the problem was that defense couldn't do anything. They couldn't hold Joe Flacco and Jahmyr Chase down. And some of those, dude, Chase was running wide open. I don't understand what was going on with that defense. Pittsburgh's supposed to be known for it, but it's the offense that's carrying this team. Rodgers, 4 touchdowns for the second or third time already this season. He did have 2 interceptions, but one was just DK getting manhandled and the defender stealing the ball from him. It should have been a big offensive play. Instead, it was a turnover. Jaylen Warren had a very nice game running the ball, dude. 127 yards at almost 8 yards a clip there.
Wow.
We mentioned Freiermuth getting busy with the 2 touchdowns. Need more out of Metcalf, though. Just 3 for 50. And like I mentioned, that interception that was stolen from him. But the defense has to pick it up. But, Dave, I have a feeling in this one they will. They get to the fourth quarter, it's chilling, and all of a sudden Styx comes on, and you see the highlights, and you hear Renegade going, and it's going to get wild. This game is going to mean a ton to Aaron Rodgers. I think he'll be able to relay that to the rest of the team, and I think the Steelers step up for him.
Yeah, it's going to be a heck of a game. That's definitely one of the big games of the weekend. But another big game is going to be played on Monday Night Football, Casey, and that is the Washington Commanders on the road to play the Kansas City Chiefs at home. Chiefs have a nice 9.5 points favorites, so that's pretty shocking. But I guess there's mitigating circumstances potentially.
Was it because they got the crap kicked out of them last week, 44-22 by my Dallas Cowboys? That might have played a factor in it, but they are all kind of banged up.
Yeah.
And now adding to that mix, no Jayden Daniels in this thing. He's going to miss at least week 8, win out of the game late on a Jahmyr James sack, kind of tweaked the hamstring there. They were already without Debo and Scary Terry. I'm not sure what the status of either of those guys in this game is going to be, but they really couldn't get the run going against the Cowboys last week, and that's disconcerting because Cowboys were coming off a game that Rico Dowdle almost went for 200 yards. So Krosky Merritt has to be more of a factor in this thing. And who's going to be that guy to step up? Zach Ertz had a touchdown last week, but nobody really did a good job. A lot of drops by these other guys when they really needed them to step up last week. And that's bad news, Dave, because in that sea of red in Kansas City, one of the toughest places to play, it's asking a lot out of Marcus Mariota if he doesn't have Debo or Scary Terry to go in here and beat a Chiefs team that is not only getting healthy, but it looks like they have found their stride, dude.
Yeah. Speaking of that Chiefs team, and you mentioned it, they are starting to find their rhythm, and they're starting to. That's why they're the favorites right now to win the AFC West, even though they're still tied for second place behind the Broncos too. But let's talk about the absolute dismantling of the Raiders last week.
That had to bring you a little joy. I know it was a Chiefs win, but
I was rooting for the Raiders.
I think it was 31 Chiefs points and 30 total plays for the Raiders. Like, I mean,
something like that. It was. Ugh. Okay, so let's get into some of the defensive stats right off the bat there. Geno Smith, 67 passing yards. Offensively, under 100 passing yards, or 100 total yards for the Raiders against the Chiefs last week. And only 3 first downs given up by that Chiefs defense all game.
Wow.
So unbelievable. 3 first downs in the whole game. It is remarkable. And then on the other side, you mentioned they're getting better. They're kind of finding their form, but getting back one of their best, if not their best receiver in Rashee Rice in his first game. They eased him back in. Lucky for the Raiders because it was 2 touchdowns for Rashee Rice.
Could have had a third too.
I mean, my God. But now they've got a real balanced receiving group with Kelsey. You can always count on Rice, the most really gifted all-around receiver that they have. Tyquan Thornton, Smith-Schuster, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. Ooh. There are a lot of pieces now to the puzzle there that Mahomes can utilize. And obviously, when everything breaks down, Mahomes can run for the first down. He always gets 1 more yard than you need to pick up the first down. But Pacheco running the ball decent, as well as Kareem Hunt with them. Not specifically last week because they just didn't need it. I mean, everything worked for them. It was like a hot knife through butter. The Raiders, I mean, let's just hope that the Commanders looked at that film and thought to themselves, my God, we got to play better than that. There's no way that this is that kind of easy game for the Chiefs. But my goodness, they are clicking now. So this is kind of scary with the Commanders coming in and not having their best weapon on offense in Jayden Daniels.
How Chiefs is this, dude?
Perfect timing. Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah, he's missed a couple of games, but he was there for the Charger game, Jayden Daniels, and played pretty well and got the win there. Go Commanders.
Sorry, Dave. I'm on the other side of that one, my friend. That's where the dudes will be split. But Sunday, we collectively bring the football dudes' power together to take down those dirty Broncos.
How about them Cowboys?
Woo! That's what I am talking about. So many ways You can check out the Football Dudes, the TrendZone, what you're listening to right now, available for subscription. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Blueberry. It's everywhere, people.
That's correct. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Football Dudes LA, and please make sure you tag us across all social media platforms.
And while you're out there surfing the interwebs, go ahead and bookmark footballdudes.com. That is going to do it for this episode of the Trend Zone. We're not the suits that talk football. We're the dudes that know football. For Dave, I'm Casey, and we are out of here.